YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. We're through the entire 2021 through 2022 NFL season. I got my top 100 players of the year. We do this video every single beginning of the offseason here. We also have loads of offseason content covering free agency, trades, the draft. We got you covered. Already videos on the channel, definitely more to come. So join us for that. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Doing 2 episodes of this, so we're going from 100 to 51 in this video, and then the top 50 in the next video, and we'll break it down. But got to go over a lot of players, so I'm not going to talk too long on each player here. But really excited about this. Always love putting this together at the end of every year. Playoffs and Super Bowl matter for me, so players definitely boosted their stock from that. Everyone probably does it different. You know, to me, that's the most important time of the season. That's what everyone's playing for, so it should count. But everyone's different. But that's how it goes. Check out our Twitter. Patreon has bonus content, link down below. Let's get into the top 100. Coming in at 100, it's a cornerback, Darius Slay from the Eagles. Really picked it up this year. Last year, you start to wonder, he was solid, but, is he going to decline sometime soon? But he had almost like another breakout year, so it was fantastic for the Eagles, who actually had a sneaky good defense. Number 99 is Cordarrelle Patterson, who felt like most of the time was the Falcons' best weapon, which is a little bit of a surprise, combining his running ability, his pass-catching ability. He had a phenomenal season. I think teams were starting to kind of game plan for him, so maybe he was a little less productive down the stretch, but fantastic season. He's a free agent. I think the Falcons would definitely like to have him back there, a key piece to that new Arthur Smith offense. 98 is going to be Ali Marpet, key piece to that Buccaneers offensive line on the interior there. Buccaneers trying to keep that offensive line together, some key free agents there, so we'll see if they can keep it together there. 97, see another running back, James Conner, who at one point during the year was, you start to think, like, is this guy one of the very best running backs in football right now, during the year, because he seemed like a new guy, it's just so explosive. Pass catching ability kind of came out of nowhere. Just seemed like he really fit that Cardinals offense, which some people maybe doubted, maybe thought Edmonds was more of the guy, but Connor was so good, electrifying at times. Slowed down a little bit at the end, but yeah, there was a stretch during the season where he looked like one of the better backs in football, combined running, catching, and the Cardinals, the passing game started. They struggled, not really struggle, but went downhill a little bit over the year, but Connor was kind of picking him up there, so he comes at 97. See another back at 96. It wasn't the best year for running backs. There's not too many running backs on this list this year, which was interesting, but Damien Harris, the Patriots, one of the better running teams in football, and he was obviously the main reason for that. Such a tough runner. Was a touchdown machine this year, too, so that production definitely helped them get here in the top 100 at number 96 here. Number 95 is going to be Foye Oluokun of the Falcons. Was a tackle machine for them. See, they shift defensive schemes a little bit, going from Dan Quinn to Dean Pease. And I thought, a guy that was improving every year anyways, but I thought a guy that really benefited from that, the defensive change and really stepped up. He's a free agent. We'll see if other teams try to pull him away from the Falcons. We'll see what they decide there, but monster year for him. Surprisingly ended up maybe being the better of the top linebackers of the Falcons, with Deion Jones, who's kind of known as the better one. 94 is going to be Harrison Smith, still one of the more instinctive players in all of football, and that's what you have to appreciate there. It felt like he kind of saved the Vikings in the end of some games down the stretch. Their defense kind of struggling, but Harrison Smith, it was kind of maybe on him and maybe another guy too, on their backs, on their shoulders there, and he was really clutch for them down the stretch of games. 93 is going to be Chidobewuzie of the Bengals. So maybe a little bit of breakout season for him. Maybe a little bit of a surprise. A lot of Bengals that made this list. I mean, they made it to the Super Bowl. Very balanced team, but Awuzie, was fantastic. Lockdown and coverage. You weren't really expecting, that obviously. But what you really appreciate is the Bengals, a big reason why they're so good at defense outside of the players being so solid is, but they switched up their coverages nonstop. They didn't stick to one thing. First down's this, second down is that. They switch it up. That's actually very hard to do as a cornerback, to constantly change and stay sound, and do your job. And I thought Awuzie did a fantastic job this year. So, again, there's a lot of Bengals on this list. Wyatt Teller comes at 92. Yeah, the interior guys of the Browns just continue to be fantastic for them. Big reason why they're able to pound the football and have success doing that. 91, Dallas Goedert. Yeah, I thought he had a better season than expected. You see Ertz getting traded. Will Goddard step up? And he did. I thought he's a key factor to them. They didn't really have too many receivers besides the rookie Devontae Smith step up, so they needed a guy like Goddard to step up. I thought he did, and I thought he was fantastic and fun to watch after the catch too. So that's where he made his money there. 90s me Matt Milano. Bills had the best defense in the regular season statistically. I thought Matt Milano was a key piece of that, holding it down in the middle for sure. And we see what happens when he stays healthy. I think he's pretty balanced, stopping a run and then in coverage as well. So impressive year from the Bills linebacker. 89, Rashan Gary is a breakout season. Maybe a guy we weren't expecting to see in here before the year. Maybe a guy we had some doubts on in the recent past. And when he was drafted there, it's like, all right, it's a solid player. Does he fit that defense? Starts a little slow. He's a raw prospect. Really broke out this year. I mean, he had a monster year this year. Very productive, getting after the quarterback. And Darius Smith out for most of the year as well. Pretty much the whole thing. So it was huge that he stepped up. And the Packers defense was as good as it's ever been too. So that was a key guy in that defense to step up with all those injuries. So I'm excited about. That's a guy to be excited about going forward now. Before it was like you start to doubt a little bit, you start to wonder, but now we're super excited about him. 88, another Bengal, Larry Ogunjobi, who is kind of sneaky good for the Bengals. That's probably because how loaded their defensive line was, with a lot of guys that weren't expected to be as good as they were. You look at the defensive ends, and Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson were fantastic. And you got DJ Reader in the middle. Those kind of the big-name guys, so you kind of lose Ogunjobi in there. But he had a extremely productive season. I liked how he got interior pressure from the inside there, which was key for that Bengals defense. So maybe another guy we didn't expect to be in here. 87, back-to-back Bengals, another Bengals. We got a kicker. We got the rookie kicker, Evan McPherson, who was absolutely clutch for them. I mean, starting in week 1 against the Vikings in overtime it started, and then, really big time down the stretch of the year into the playoffs. I mean, you take Evan McPherson away, do the Bengals even get to the Super Bowl? Some clutch kicks there, and it says a lot about him. So he definitely deserved a spot on the top 100 despite being a kicker. Very impressive. 86, another rookie here, Patrick Surtain of the Broncos. Yeah, I thought we saw a good mixture of lockdown moments and playmaking moments. Was fantastic in year 1. And, a lot of times it takes even the good prospects, the younger corners, it kind of takes them a little bit to kind of get going. Sometimes it's okay if they struggle early on because they kind of get going. But not Surtain. He got going right off the bat, and the Broncos had one of the better, more lockdown defense of the year, and it starts with the corners outside there. So he's at 86. 85, Tara Locke, another very productive receiver season for the receiver, especially the home run hitting plays downfield. It was quite a few times where the Seahawks offense disappeared a little bit, got a little quiet, but this is one guy that really didn't. I thought he was always the guy to kind of get them going, get that big play going, keep them alive there. So another good season from Lockett. 84, Kirk Cousins actually had a very productive season and took care of the ball. This is probably one of his better seasons of his career. I thought he was very clutch, too, down the stretch of games. He either put a game-winning drive together or put what should have been a game-winning drive together. The Vikings defense allowing touchdowns or scores with seconds left. Cousins had similar numbers to, a guy who won the MVP. Numbers isn't everything, but it shows that he had a very solid season there. Comes in at 84. 83, Quentin Nelson. Maybe not his best season because we expect elite play from him, but still fantastic, opening up some giant holes for the league's top running back this year. So still one of the best guards in football there. 82, Rashawn Slater, the rookie, another rookie. Fantastic class this year. Rashawn Slater was fantastic left tackle for the Chargers. You see they added quite a few guys to the mix in there, but you see the upgrade in protecting for Justin Herbert. The amount of pressure he was under last year compared to this year. So a very productive season for Rashawn Slater. Excited about the future there in Los Angeles with the Chargers. 81, Marshon Lattimore. He had a lockdown season, living up to that big contract that he got somewhat recently. Another fantastic year for him. Saints always run the same defense. They continue to succeed. It's kind of hard to do. A lot of man coverage, and teams know that you're in it, and he continues to be a lockdown guy. I think what I like what he's doing now compared to maybe he was a little more flashy early in years, a few years ago, but I think he's a lot more consistent now throughout the years, so throughout these last couple seasons here. So good season for Lattimore. 80, Tyrone Smith, another very, very solid year for the Cowboys left tackle. Obviously, we expect consistency, just what we expect with health is kind of the question there with Tyrone Smith. 79, Hassan Reddick. He goes from the Cardinals after having a productive year to the Panthers, another productive year. Key piece of that defense too, because that defense really stepped up this year, and they got some ball players everywhere. But Reddick's kind of that piece, that's kind of that pre-snap, what you have to read, who you have to adjust for, because you don't know if he's rushing off the edge or if he's stunting or if he's standing up and blitzing, whatever it may be. So kind of a key piece for that defense to kind of open things up for some other players on that defense there. So another really good year for an underrated player in Hassan Reddick. 78, Xavien Howard had another fantastic year. Another mixture of good lockdown moments. He's such a good playmaker, getting his hands on the ball. A lot of blitzing from that Dolphins defense, so maybe not a lot of help over the top. So it shows how good of a corner he is when he's on an island. So another great year for him. He's looking for a kind of a raise, more money. Did he earn it? You'd like to think so there. 77, Derek Carr. Derek Carr was kind of in the act of having one of those patented Derek Carr seasons where he starts as an MVP or an MVP candidate, and then he really tails off. It was kind of going like that, but he kind of picked it back up again, and it was pretty damn clutch down the stretch. The closing moments of the season, in my opinion. That Colts win was a huge one. I thought that throw he had to Renfrow was one of the better throws in the entire league this year. So kind of showed us something else. He can be clutch at the end of the year. So I like that from Derek Carr. 76 to Forrest Buckner, disruptor on the inside once again for the Colts. They're really their only source of consistent pass rush, and that's coming from the interior too. 75, DJ Reader, another Bengal. Proved that he is one of the better run-stopping interior players and just period run-stopping defenders in all of football. And then he proved that he's a top-tier nose tackle as well. I mean, the Bengals defense so stout up front, stopping the run. So a big piece of that all year, why that was a good run-stopping defense. And you saw in the playoffs, we saw in a Super Bowl, the Rams couldn't even get by this guy. They couldn't get by multiple guys in that defensive line. Number 74, Brian ONeill, the Vikings. The Vikings offensive line seemed to probably play better than they have in a long time. It starts with Brian ONeill, their key piece at the right tackle position. You try to figure out what he's better at. Run blocking, kind of getting next level downfield run blocking, or pass protection, evenly good as both, living up to that contract that he got. 73, Von Miller. He really got going down the stretch of the regular season and then into the playoffs, into the Super Bowl. Extremely productive down the stretch in the key moments, in the big games. And then that kind of proved that trade was most definitely worth it. You kind of questioned it when it happened, and then maybe the few weeks after that, but then really made it worth it there. So the guy still got it there, got another ring. 72, Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray started playing like an MVP or one of the top MVP candidates. Did kind of fall off after that, so I kind of made him drop, but he still deserves a spot at the top 100 based off, incredible start to the season, and then kind of the explosive playability, the wow playability that gets you out of your seat. So, I did struggle down the stretch and a little bit of drama going on here, but hopefully they get that resolved because he's a good, young, talented player here. 71, Jonathan Allen. Washington's defensive line, we expected to be maybe the best in football. It was solid still, but pretty damn underwhelming, honestly. But I thought Jonathan Allen actually improved his game this year. I thought he kind of another guy living up to that contract he somewhat recently got. So a guy that actually stood out in a group that is still very solid, but a little underwhelming this year. Let's see if they get back on track next year. But a key piece here at the Washington Commanders locked up. Nick Chubb comes in at 70, another very productive year for him. Honestly, could have been even better. Could have been better ranked. Could have been even, if Stefanski didn't have him on the sideline in some crucial moments of the season, which was interesting. I know he wants to mix it up. They got 3 really good backs in there. But that was interesting. Maybe he wasn't fully healthy, so maybe that adds situation there. But still a very solid running back, obviously, there from the Cleveland Browns. 69, Danico Autry, maybe a guy we wouldn't expect to make this list, but it was so dominant this year, getting interior pressure, getting his hands on the ball, a lot of pass deflections I noticed too, big time in their playoff game down the stretch of the season. I mean, the interior of the Titans between the duo Danico Autry and Jeffrey Simmons maybe was the very best in football this year. So very impressed with those guys there. 68, Matthew Judon, another guy that kind of started the year as huge defensive MVP player of the year maybe to start the year, a candidate for sure. Definitely slowed down as the season went on. I mean, he recently saw some quotes from him talking about they kind of changed things up a little bit, so maybe that affected him. But yeah, the way he started the year and played through the middle of the year where the Patriots looked like maybe the top defensive football, I mean, he was a major, major piece of that. So still worth something there. They weren't playing like that top defense at the end there. We'll see if they can get back on track. Another Patriot, back-to-back Patriot, J.C. Jackson, who is a playmaker once again. He'll kind of get beat here and there, but is due to them playing a lot of man coverage, which, we're talking about specifics. What's one of the toughest things to do? Corner playing man coverage. I think people don't realize that some of the top corners in football play zone coverage. If they played man as much as J.C. Jackson or Trevon Diggs, they'd get beat a bit too. But J.C. Jackson continues to be a good man corner, playmaking corner. And we mentioned Diggs, and here he is at 66. Those guys are pretty much the same this year. Diggs was a little bit more of a playmaker, maybe a little bit more of the game-changing moments positively for his teams, but then maybe he did get beat a little bit more as well. But you do, and that plays a part. Maybe it moves them down. You see the playmaking ability, the game-changing moment for their teams. Maybe put them easily within the top 50, but they do give up a little bit. But then you do realize that they have to realize that they're in man coverage a ton. Some of the top corners are just in zone. So the yardage against them, the catches against them, they're going to be more obvious and they're going to pop up more in those stats. So big year for Diggs, promising young corner. 65, Bobby Wagner, another productive year for him, holding it down on the inside for the Seattle Seahawks. Defense was pretty solid, for a chunk of the year there. The offense was letting them down. See if they can get back on track. 64, Kenny Moore, I think one of the more underrated players in the NFL, a corner from the Colts. What I like is that he plays, you see him play inside and outside as a corner, which is extremely hard to do. Mid-drive kind of switching up, extremely hard to do. Another one of those corners that you see those lockdown moments, see those playmaking moments coming up with the ball, clutch moments. So another good season for Kenny Moore. 64. 63, Eric Kendricks. Eric Kendricks still is effective in coverage, but we've seen him kind of add the blitzing part to his game. Was pretty effective as a blitzer, which we haven't seen this year. So he's at 63 off this season. 62, Creed Humphrey, rookie center, only center ranked. The top center in football there. You see that new Chiefs offensive line come together and be one of the best in football. Starts on the inside with a really good draft pick there. Rookie Creed Humphrey was big time for them in the playoffs as well. 61, Hunter Renfrow, maybe another one of those guys. We never would have thought Hunter Renfrow would make the list on the top 100 based off this season, but he did because he was outstanding this year. One of the top true slot receivers in football this year. So effective. You see him elevate his route running, which was already good, but some nasty footwork, obviously. I felt like he always showed up in kind of clutch moments throughout the year, throughout games, third down, fourth down, red zone. Just crucial moments. I felt like he showed up. So one of the better slot receivers on the year. The slot receivers are really taking over. 60, Sam Hubbard, yet another Cincinnati Bengal. Sam Hubbard known as one of the better run-stopping defensive ends. But for defensive ends, you want to see more pass rush. He was decent at it before, but really took off. I mean, still a top-tier run defender as a defensive end, but really got after the quarterback. The quarterbacks this year was huge for them. I mean, every week, but down the playoffs as well. Again, so good stopping the run and getting after the quarterback is just kind of a bonus how he's elevating his game. Big reason why the Bengals defensive line was so good. 59, Chandler Jones, another guy, another Cardinal that started off the year stronger than where he maybe ended up. Looked like a defensive player of the year candidate early on. Was going crazy, especially to start the year against Tennessee in week 1. Slowed down a little bit, but it was still extremely productive, forcing some fumbles in there, and that's why he's within the top 60 here. 58, Darwin James, the versatile safety. Like to see him in the box, man up on guys in the slot, even on the outside. So very versatile. You see him stay healthy, which is fantastic. So he only can go up from here as long as he stays healthy. 57, Cam Jordan, guy that kind of got going again at the end of the year. Just Mr. Consistent, staying extremely consistent for the Saints. A big reason why their defense is a once again very solid defense there. So pass rush productivity there was off the charts once again. 56. Kicker, highest ever had a kicker ranked. Justin Tucker had a incredible historic season. All season, but that the kick against the Lions, the game winner, the record breaker, will always be remembered, obviously. And he's already known as the best kicker of all time. Just an insane season. So he comes in at 56. Yeah, it's good to see the kickers make the list here and prove that they're as good as the skill position players. 55, Fred Warner, a guy that started to heat up towards the end too in the playoffs as well. Kind of a playmaking linebacker showing up in big time moments, just making these big time plays, and you see the range on him, the coverage ability. So comes in at 55. 54, Harold Landry had a breakout year for the Titans, their edge rusher. Extremely productive, see him consistently getting pressure, but also getting the quarterback down as well. You see the Titans kind of dropped them in coverage less. For some reason they were dropping him in coverage a lot last year. They dropped him in coverage less this year. They got some guys around him, and they feast on the quarterback this year. So he's at 54 here on this year's top 100 list. 53, Roquan Smith, another very solid year for him. I think balanced across the board. Talk about stopping a run, and then in coverage as well. It can use him in terms of the blitz. So I'm actually very curious to see how he's talented enough to fit in anywhere, but how he fits into Matt Eberflus and company's defense. So that's something that I'm curious to watch out for, how that works out there. But confident about the young stud linebacker here. 52, Chris Jones. Chris Jones started the year a little slow, but that was kind of the Chiefs' fault. They kind of used him more on the outside defensive end, and then they put him in his correct role. Kind of played him out of position basically. They put him in his correct role, and then he was doing Chris Jones things again, which at any given time he can be an elite defender in the NFL. So if he played there the whole year, I'm sure he would have been in his normal spot, but still comes in at 52. Really has to carry a lot in that Chiefs defensive line. And then the last one of episode 1, again, we're doing 2 episodes. 51's going to be Justin Simmons, who is the Broncos single high free safety. People don't realize it's a tough job playing single high free out there and on an island kind of, and just a big-time playmaker all year. I think he was getting better. You started off maybe a little slow for a guy we expect to be maybe the top safety, but then really got going. Iconic moment for sure was when he had a kind of a game-clinching interception and went and stood on the Demaryius Thomas tribute there on the field. Awesome moment there. Yeah, another fantastic season for one of the rising stars at the safety position. He comes in at 51, and that is the first 50. Again, we're going to do another episode, and that'll be the top 50. Once again, this is based off of this season only. It's not in general. It's not based off their way, what they did in the past. It's also what factors in is the playoffs and the Super Bowl. Some people may disagree with that. Some people may want to do it a different way, their own. That's definitely cool. I think it's it's the most important. It's what they play for. It's the most important time of the year. If the players can clutch up against the best under pressure, it means a lot in my book. So that's why I do that. It's how I've always done it. Been doing this video, these rankings for a long, long time here. So that wraps it up for the first episode. Again, we're doing a top 50. Don't worry. Let me know, any snubs in the comments, any guys that you would have ranked or anything like that. Maybe you need to see the next episode first. But we're always talking on Twitter with stuff like this, constant news, rumors, predictions on the Twitter. Full NFL offseason content here at the Goat House. So join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.